Okay, so good evening. Sorry, my name is Shazia Khan, and today's unit that we'll be doing is the unit of aspects of human physiology. Okay, and this unit is a unit based around the human physiology, but also the unit spec is just below. If you can just see that, I've shared it in the slides. So we'll go through the unit specification and then I'll show you what the assignment brief looks like and also
Okay.
the learning outcomes, how many we're doing. Okay, so for this unit, the learning outcomes are two learning outcomes. So the first one is to understand that the human body comprises of organ systems. And in this unit, we look at the levels of organization within an organism. We look at 1.2, which is describe examples of major organ systems in the human body. 1.3, we look at explaining the relationships between structure, function within the organ system. And 1.4, explaining how the organ systems work together to maintain normal body functioning. Then learning outcome 2 is to understand that homeostasis is the key process which maintains the internal environment of the body. And in that, we look at 2.1, which is to explain the concept of homeostasis, and 2.2 explain how the endocrine system is well suited in maintaining homeostasis. The grading for the UDA is obviously understanding the subject, application, communication, and quality. And this looks at the indicative content, what we'll be looking at. So this we go through anyway when we look at each individual learning outcome, okay? What I do want to show you quickly is the assignment brief, but just be aware that the assignment brief we will do that later on as well. So I'll show you that later. Okay, we'll leave that till later on because we need to confirm that with the office. Okay, so the first learning outcome we're going to be looking at is learning outcome 1. Okay, which is to understand the human body comprises of organ systems. And I'm just going to share the slides with you. Okay,
Okay.
right, just a minute. So screen 1, 2. Mhm. So can you see these slides, Faustina?
I can see it, but not legible.
Sorry?
I can see the slide. Hello,
You
and
can see,
understand that the human body comprises of organ system.
oh, not that one. You don't, that's not the one you need to be seeing. You need to be seeing the PowerPoint slides. Just listen, just 1 minute.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
Let's stop sharing that and see if we can just open this up and then maybe share it now. Let's have a look. Why is it not sharing the entire screen? Let's have a look, entire screen. So take this there, maybe I should do this one now. Okay. Can you see this now, Faustina?
Yes, I do.
So it's got the actual um the actual slides there, yeah?
Yes.
You can see them, okay? So we're going to be looking at the slides today and we're looking at the learning outcome 1. So for this unit, there's only 2 learning outcomes, okay? So the first one
Okay.
is today's session, which we'll be looking at aspects of human physiology, and we'll be looking at learning outcome 1, which is to understand that human body comprises of organ systems. The indicative content for this one, we'll be looking at levels of organization. So we'll look at the organism system, organ, tissue cells, organelle, molecule, atom. We'll also look at the nervous system as well and how it transmits and what's the mechanism of the nervous system. We'll then go on to look at the digestive system and the autonomy and physiology of the process of digestion and how you absorb enzyme foods and things like that, and how the digestive system works. We'll then go on to look at the cardiovascular system, and we'll look at the respiratory system and the respiratory system. Okay, so we'll be looking at that. That's an indicative content to look at in regards to the first bit of it. Okay, so key
Okay.
terminology, and this is really can you see the slide that says key terminology? Yeah,
Yes, please.
excellent. So the key terminology and looking at the elements of different atoms, molecules, organelles, cells, tissue, organ system, and organism. So we'll be looking at them in more detail and what they cover. And that diagram actually looks at things like the nucleus, nucleus, and it looks at elements of the microtube and things like that. So we'll look at that in a little bit more detail. So firstly, we're going to look at the four different types of tissues um, that we have. Okay, so the four different types of tissue in the body that we have are things called, the first one is the connective tissue, the epithelial tissue, the muscle tissue, and the nervous tissue. So we look at what each one looks at in regards to the different types of tissue. So the first one is the connective tissue, and that is there to literally support, protect, and bind for other tissues and organs. So examples could for that could be things like, the bones, the blood, the cartilage. Then we got the epithelial tissue, which covers the external and internal surfaces of body, lines cavities and passageways and forms of glands. That could be things like the skin and the lining of the digestive tract. And then we have the muscle tissue, which looks at contracts to produce movement. And there are three types. So you get skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. And then finally, the nervous tissue, and that detects stimuli and transmits electrical signals throughout the body. Where do you think the nervous system can be found? What parts of the body?
We're talking about the brain, the spinal cord, the
Yeah,
capillary.
yeah. The brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves. So you can see that in the diagram. Yeah, can you see that?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So then we're looking at the different types of organs as well. So what do you think are the different types of organs that we have?
We have the heart.
Yeah,
We can talk about the lungs.
yeah,
We can talk about the skin.
yeah,
We can talk about the kidneys,
yeah. We have kidneys, we have the liver,
the
and
liver.
we have they include the brain, the heart, the lungs, kidneys, and these all perform different functions, don't they, that are essential for the body. Things like,
Yeah.
pumping up the blood, digesting the food, and there are systems like this for the nervous, the cardiovascular, and digestive system, and these all work together, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So if they don't work together, do you think things will go wrong?
No, yeah, things will go
Yeah.
wrong if they don't work together.
Yeah. So these work together to make sure that they establish how the brain works, what it controls, what the heart does, what the lungs do, what the kidneys do, and the liver. So these all work together. And the example on the slide that they've given is the heart, and
Yeah,
that's really important. That's one of the really important organs, isn't it?
yes, it is.
So, the example is quite an interesting example of the heart and how it works and how it works with different organs.
Yeah.
So the organ system, so we have uh, 12 organ systems in the body. I mean, we have the nervous system, muscular system, endocrine system, vascular system, lymphatic system, respiratory system, digestive system, urinal system, female and male reproductive system, the excretory system. So we'll go through each one a little bit so you've got a little bit of an idea. The first one is the nervous system. What do you think the nervous system covers, Faustina?
We're talking about the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves, and all their functions.
Yeah. So the nervous system is there. It's a complex network that transmits signals through the brain and other parts of the body to coordinate actions and any sort of sensory information. So it's kind of divided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And these are system, and these are where they process the information and send the information through, through maybe the brain, it could be the spinal cord, it could be the nerves, it could be anything in regards to that. So nervous system is really important part of your body that helps in regards to it. So there's a video here that you can watch in your own time. Can you see that video there?
Just in the nervous system. Straight,
Yes,
yes,
it's
I've
a
seen it.
9-minute video, and it's about the nervous system, how it works, and how it, deals with elements of, processing things, and elements of that. So you can watch in that. Can you see the link to it, Faustina, as well?
Yeah, 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 it's under it.
Sorry,
No, I can't see the link.
it's on the slide. Can you see it there now?
Yeah, on.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that
but
link, you
once
can
I've
watch
seen
that.
it.
Yeah, you can watch that video in your own time, okay?
Okay.
So the next one, the digestive system, okay? Why do you think the
Mhm.
digestive system is so important?
That is what supplies the body with nourishment.
Yeah,
So, and this will be distributed throughout the body for assimilation.
yeah.
So without that,
Does it break down the food in the mouth?
yeah, it starts from the mouth.
Yeah. It could be the chewing, it could be the saliva, it could
Yeah,
be, it continues through the, stomach, the small intestine, and, it's where the process is chewing physically, breaking the food down with the saliva, and then the stomach, the esophagus, and the small intestine, the large intestine. So it's where it produces saliva to moisture food and, start the digestive system. So it's really important part of our body. Again, on the next slide, there's a video there on the digestive system, and this looks at how the digestive system works. Again, you can look at that in your own time, and that video is Emma Bryce, and it looks at how she explains how the digestive system works, how the food is broken down, how the process begins with the mouth, and then chewing and saliva, and how the food is absorbed. So you could look at that video. Can you see the link to it?
yes, I do.
Yeah, you can look at that video in your own time, okay?
Okay.
Uh, the next one is the cardiovascular. And what do you think that involves, the cardiovascular system?
The cardio is representing the heart. So
Heart,
I'm
yes.
thinking it's talking about the circulatory system.
Yes. So it's the heart, and it's the transportation system composed of the heart, like we said, the blood and blood vessels, arteries and veins, and capillaries. And its primary function is to circulate oxygen and nutrients to all cells and to remove any sort of waste products like carbon dioxide. And the heart pumps through blood through the network, ensuring this constant supply of blood tissue. And the components of the cardiovascular is the heart and the blood vessels and how they function. So they deliver oxygen, nutrients, and other essential substances through the body. So it's really important. Again, the next video on that is looking at a video on the cardiovascular system to look at and how it works and how it helps regulate body temperature and how it transports, cells in to fight off any sort of infection and diseases as well. The next
Okay.
one, we've got the respiratory system. And the respiratory system, what do you think that involves?
About the lungs and then breathing, taking in oxygen and bringing out carbon dioxide.
Yeah, so it's about the lungs, um, and it's where you breathe and you exchange gas, moving the oxygen body and carbon dioxide. So it includes things like your nose, your mouth, your lungs, like you said, your muscles like the diaphragm, and air travels through the airways into the lungs where the oxygen moves from tiny air sacs called alveoli into the blood. So this is inhalation, and the air moves through and then exchanging of gas. So the key organs that are used here are things like your nose and mouth, your lungs, your diaphragm. And it's so important because the respiratory system works with the circulatory system to deliver oxygens to the body's cells, which they need for like cellular respiration to produce energy. So it's really important, the respiratory service in regards to that system. Again, there's a video there that you can look at in your own time on how the respiratory system works, how, what it includes, like the mouth, the nose, and how the transportation of air has to go through your nose or your mouth, which is warmed and filtered, and how it moves through the system. So the respiratory system, again, is really important. The next one is the excretory system, which removes any sort of waste products and excess water from the body to maintain any sort of homeostasis. And its main component includes the kidneys, which filter the blood to produce urine, and then urinary tract, which is called either the uterus, the bladder, or the urethra, which stores and expels urine. So, the key functions of the excretory system is to remove any sort of waste, um, and regulate the body's waters and salt balance. And the major organs that are involved in this are things like the kidneys, the urinary bladder, the urethra, the ureters, lungs, the skin, and liver. So these are things that are based around the excretory system. And here again is another video which looks at the excretory system, how it removes waste products and excess water from the body to maintain this homeostasis. The
Okay.
next, sorry, have you got any questions, Faustina?
No.
Okay. So the next one we're looking at is the endocrine system. What do you think the endocrine system involves?
We're talking about some uh, um system in the body that contains some enzymes
Yeah. So it could
helping
be
the
things
body
like,
to
is where
effect.
the body it's a network of glands that
Yeah.
secrete hormones directly from bloodstreams to regulate functions like growth, metabolism, and reproduction. And the key components of the functions of the endocrine system is the hormones, the glands, the bloodstream, and the target organs. And how it works are that hormones are released from a gland into the bloodstream, and they travel through the body, but only affect cells that have correct receptors for the specific hormone. And the binding of hormone is receptor triggers a specific response in the target cell or the organs. For example, the adrenal glands release adrenaline in response to stress.
Okay.
The next one, and there's a video on the endocrine system that you can watch in your own time. Next one we're looking at is describing 1.1, describing the levels of organization within an organism. And an organism is made up of 4 levels of cells. So we have molecules, molecules, and cells. We have the tissues, the organs, and the organ system and organism as well. We then look at the element of the major, this triangle looks at the major levels of organization in the body from the simplest to the most complex. So we have atoms, molecules, organelles, cells, tissues, organs, and the human. So we have these molecules. So the first one is the atoms. The atoms is a basic unit of matter. And then we have molecules that are 2 or more atoms bonded together. Then we have organelles. which is structures within a cell that perform specific functions made up by molecules. We have cells, which is the basic unit of life made up by organelles. We have tissue, which is a group of similar cells that perform a specific function. We have organs, which is a structure made of different tissues working together to perform a specific function, for example, the heart. We have the organ system, which work together to perform a major function, and the other one, we have organisms, which is a complete living being made up by the organ systems working together. So the first one is we have cells, which is level 1. And cells, like we said, are the most basic unit of life. And the first cells may be most basic unit of life and fundamental level of organization for living organisms. And you have the cells may be prokaryotic, which means without nucleus, or they may be with nucleus. Okay, so that could be in plants, animals, protists, and fungal. Then we have level 2 of that, which includes tissues. So what do you think tissues are?
I mean, we're talking of number of similar cells coming together,
Yeah.
performing a function.
So you have different tissues and they work together to perform a specific functions. And human have 4 types of tissues, which we went through earlier. The connective tissue, which is the bone, which is structure and support. And then we have the muscle tissue, which is cells that contract and relax and produce any sort of movement. And then we have the epithelial tissue, which covers the body surface, such as the skin and lines, internal organs. And then the nervous tissue, which is part of the forms, the brain, spinal cord, and nerves sensing stimuli and transmitting electrical signals to control and coordinate the body. We then have level 3 organs. Okay, so they are the different organs that part of level 3. And they are organs that are similar to cells. Sorry, the next slide. So it said the organs are made up of different tissues that perform different bodily functions. And they are things like, the heart, the lung, brain, which are composed of tissues like the muscle, the nerve, and the connective tissue. And we have groups of organs that work together to form organ systems, which is the next level of organization. Organs are biological structures that are made up of 2 or more different tissues carried out to a specific function. So, they are there to carry out a specific function. For example, the heart is located in the chest, and its function is to pump blood throughout the body. The brain is situated in the head, and it acts as the body's control center, managing everything from thinking to vital functions like breathing. We have the kidneys, which are located on either side of the spine, in the back of the abdomen, and they're responsible for filtering waste. And we can go on and on in each one. So the organ system, what is it? That's level 4. So level 4 is the organ system, is a group of organs, a collection that work together. Typically, there are 11, okay, organs in the human, including digestive, circulatory, respiratory, and nervous system. And they cooperate and work together to maintain bodily functions. What do you think an example, what's the digestive system there to do?
The digestive system, as you said, it breaks down food,
Yeah,
starting from the mouth and ends at the anus to bring about all the nutrients we need in the body, and that
yeah,
is distributed to all parts of the body.
yeah. The digestive system breaks down food, absorbs any nutrients. What about the muscular system?
The
What is
muscle,
that there for?
which helps us in walking and feeling, which is made up of the smooth muscles and the skeletal muscles.
Yes.
So it
It's there
helps.
for the movement of our body, isn't it?
Yeah.
It moves it. Then we have the urinary system, which filters blood, and removes any sort of waste products, which is referred to, as we mentioned earlier on, the excretory system.
Yeah.
So the next slide, can you see the next slide? It says 1.2, describe examples of major organ systems in the human body.
Yeah.
Okay, so the major, like we said, the organ systems which you mentioned earlier, the circulatory system, which pumps blood, respiratory system, gas exchange, digestive system, it breaks down food, the nervous system is transmits signals, and the skeletal, which provides structure and protection of the bones. So they're different organs of the human body. Like we said, that 11 systems of the organism. So the organism is a living being that has cellular structure and can independently perform any sort of physiological functions necessary for life. It's really important to have these in place when the organs need to work together. Can all organs work separately, or do they need to work together to perform some sort of function?
They work together.
Yeah. They have to work together, don't they, Faustina? Because
They
it's
do.
there to perform some sort of, function and help
Yeah.
maintain, if it's transmitting signals or if it's transporting oxygen, allowing for any sort of movement, they have to work together.
Yeah. Because if one fails, the
Yes,
body suffers, the rest suffers.
yes. Yes, if one fails, then it's difficult, isn't it, for the body to function?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, they all, like we said, they all work together to facilitate all the functions. A glossary is looking there, it's just telling you what cells mean, which is the smallest independently functioning unit of all organisms, what organs mean, structure composed of two or more types of tissue, what the organ system means, a group of organs that work together. Organism is a living being that has cellular structure, and then the tissue is a group of similar or closely related cells that act together to perform a specific function.
Okay.
So the next one we're looking at, there are 11 major systems in the human body, which we looked at earlier as well. So the circulatory system is there to what? What is the circulatory system there to do?
To transport blood
Yeah,
throughout the body so that the blood itself comprises of oxygen. So it circulates the oxygen throughout the body so that the carbon dioxide can be gotten rid of.
good, good. Then we have the respiratory system, which again facilitates any sort of gas exchange, taking in oxygen and releasing any sort of carbon dioxide. We then have the digestive system, like we mentioned earlier, breaks down food and absorbs any sort and used by the blood. Then the nervous system, again, controls body functions by transmitting signals between the brain and the rest of the body. We then have the immune system, which looks at the element of the system, which is the lymph nodes, spleen, and bone, and its main function is to defend against any sort of pathogens and foreign invaders. We have the muscular system, which allows for movement by contracting and relaxing muscles. We then have the skeletal system, which looks at providing structural support, protects organs, and stores any sort of minerals. Integumentary system, which looks at elements of the skin, nails, hair, and protects the body from the outside environments. The urinary system, which looks at the filters any sort of waste products from the blood and excretes them as urine, and then the reproductive system, which is there responsible for producing any sort of offspring as well.
Okay.
Sorry?
I said okay.
Yeah. So, is there any questions before we carry on, Faustina?
No, please.
Okay. So we've got the next one, which is 1.3. You can see that slide, yeah? It says explain the relationship between structure and function with the organ system. Can you see
Okay.
that slide? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. So the relationship between structure and function is an organ system that an organ-specific structure is adapted to perform its specific function, and organs work together as a system to perform a larger coordinated tasks. This means that they shape arrangement and composition of organs and cells within a system, directly enabling it to overall role in the body. For example, the heart structure as a muscular organ is essential for its function of pumping blood, while the lung structure with its tiny air sacs is perfectly suited for anything like gas exchange as well. Similarly, the digestive system is composed of the mouth, and it looks at the and it falls of a small intestine and providing a larger area for nutrient absorption of the food, and the structure of the small intestine, and the relationship between structure and function within an organ system is complex and interconnected. So you have the respiratory system, which is the structure of the trachea into bronchi, and bronchiolitis structure leads to alveoli, maximizing the service of gas exchange. You then have the next slide, which is the relationship between the function. For example, the structure of the lungs and millions of tiny sacs, which I just mentioned. Also, the nervous system, the rapid and complex structure of nerves and neutrons allows for quick responses such as fight or flight reaction triggered by the release of the function. And we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail, the flight and fright structure. So you've got a little bit of an idea of how that works, okay? And, the whole point of the structure is that it's how it allows it to perform a job, so how they work together. The relationship between the structure and function is linked together, and the structure is component is adapted to perform a specific structure, and the function can perform a different significant function as well. So, they all perform different structure functions, but they have to work together to perform a bigger structure for them to work together. So 1.4, we're looking at explaining how the organs work together to maintain normal body functioning. And the organs work together to maintain that. For example, the respiratory and the circulatory systems cooperate to deliver oxygen from air cells. And then you have the digestive system and the circulatory system. And the digestive system is there to break down any food into any sort of usable nutrients, whereas the circulatory system will then transport both oxygen and nutrients to all cells throughout the body. You have the respiratory system and the circulatory system. So the respiratory system is there to takes in oxygen from the air, and then the respiratory system is where the circulatory system is where they transport both the oxygen and nutrients throughout the cells. So at the same time, the circulatory system carries carbon dioxide and a waste product of cellular respiration to the lungs, where it is actually inhaled. You then have the nervous system and the muscular system. So the nervous system is there to act as a control center, receiving information and sending out signals to other systems. And you have the muscular system, which is there to look at, it sends signals to the muscles and works with the skeletal system for the movement. You have the endocrine and the various systems. So the endocrine system, it uses hormones to regulate processes like blood sugar, temperature and growth. For instance, when your blood sugar is high, the pancreas releases insulin to help the cell absorb glucose. And then you have the integumentary system, which is to do with, like we said, the skin and its physical barrier, and helps regulate any sort of body temperature by sensing the heart and releasing any sort of sweat. You have the urinary system and the circulatory system. So the urinary system, which we talked about earlier on as well, is filters any sort of blood to remove any waste and excess substances. And then you have the nervous system and the endocrine, another one, where the brain through the nervous system and the endocrine glands send signals to ensure that all parts of the body are working in harmony. For example, after a meal, the digestive system can send signals to the brain and the heart to increase blood flow to the digestive organs and slow down any sort of activities like vigorous physical movement. We then there are some negative feedback loops of that. For example, when blood calcium levels rise, the endocrine system releases hormones that cause the bones to store calcium. So, and also the kidneys to extract more calcium, and the digestive system to absorb less calcium. So this returns blood calcium levels to normal. So they all work together. You know, the organ systems work together through constant communication with each other and feedback to maintain this stable internal environment, which is known as homeostasis. So the next one, can you see that slide? It says example fight or flight response.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the example we've got here is fight or flight response, which is where a person who suddenly encounters a snailing dog on a jog, so their body might react by making them run away. You know, if they see a dog that's snailing, they may run away, which is the flight response, or they may fight back by yelling or throwing something, which is the fight response. Um,
Okay.
or become frozen and unable to move, which is also called the freeze response.
Okay.
Another example of this fight or flight response is where the nervous system jitters, where you feel before giving a big speech. You know, you get nervous, don't you? And as your body prepares for a stressful situation, even though a physical fight or flight is not necessary. So there are different examples of that. So it could be like your heart rate increases, your muscle tension. It could be, for example, you are walking alone at night and you hear footsteps behind you. What do you think would happen to you? Do you think your heart would start racing fast?
Your your heart pumps faster when you
Yes.
start running.
Yeah, you get scared, don't you? Yeah, yeah. Your heart starts racing and you immediately speed up your pace. I'd
Speed
get
up
scared, you
walking.
know.
Then you
Yeah,
finally run away.
yes. Or you could have some pepper spray and spray it on the person, but your
If you
heart
don't
will still
have it,
be beating fast, won't it?
if you don't have it, you run away.
Yes, you run away. Yes. Another example is you are in a meeting and you've been asked a difficult question by your boss, and your jaw tightens, and you feel a surge of anger or urge to defend yourself verbally. Another one, it could be a surprise. You know, you walk into a room and your friends jump out, surprise, for your
Mhm.
birthday, and you jump and yell out of shock, even though there's no danger.
Mhm.
Another one could be a car suddenly swerves in front of you and you instinctively swerve to avoid a collision. Another one could be whilst you are hiking, you see a snake and instantly jump and scream. So these tremors and these sweating and these are part of your fight or flight response, and they are rooted into you traditionally, historically, long, long time ago. So the flight or fright response um, can, it's there to, try to, it's a response to your body's natural automatic reaction to stress or danger. It's your automatic response to it, and it triggers physiological changes such as like we said, your heart beating faster, your muscles becoming more tender. It prepares your body to deal with the source of stress. This can be also helpful in the short term, but it goes on for too long without giving your body a chance to relax, it could be, a bad part of your body, you know. So it's one of the things that happens to try to eliminate that. The flight or flight response occurs when the presence of something mentally or physically frightening or stressful is. So it could be the alarm stage, the resistance stage, or the exhaustion stage as well. There's different stages within the flight or fright response, and it is a biological stress response system, helping us to react to threats. And it could be part of our body, and it's where the hormones react to it. Like we said, your heart beating too fast. It could be the physiological side of it, there's some sort of danger. So it depends on how you prepare yourself for this. It could increase your blood pressure, it could be rapid breathing, it could be diluted pupils, it could be sweating. It depends on the situation you're in for that. And how it works is, the brain detects a threat and sends a signal, or it activates your nervous system and acts as a body's alarm system as well. So that is learning outcome one. Have you got any questions? So these are some of the responses, the references used that you could refer to when looking at elements of learning outcome one. In learning outcome one, we looked at elements of, understanding the human body. So just to give you an overview of what we've looked at, we looked at the human body and how it comprises of different organs. We looked at the different organs. So we looked at the brain, we looked at the circulatory system, the respiratory system, we looked at elements of the digestive system. We also looked at the cardiovascular system and the respiratory system. We looked at the excretory system, and also looked at elements of the endocrine system. And there are videos that you can watch in your own time in regards to this. We then went on to describe the different levels of organization within an organism and looked at the different levels. We looked at level one being cells. We looked at level two being tissues. We also looked at level three being organs, level four being the organ systems. We also looked at describing examples of major organ systems in the human body. And we went on to look at the 11 major organ systems: cardiovascular, endocrine, lymphatic, respiratory. We then went on to look at the relationship between structure within the organ system and looked at explaining how they maintain and work together to maintain normal body functions. We then went on to look at the elements of the fight or flight response and what it involves, physiological changes. And then we looked at finally examples of the flight and fright response in regards to it and mechanisms that can help individuals as well. So that was just a summary of what we've gone through. These are the references you can refer to. Do you have any questions, Faustina?
Oh, please.
No. So you could refer to ebooks on journals on Moodle that you could refer to when looking at elements of, this unit. And also there is further reading on there that you could refer to on the slides that you could refer to in regards to this. And also, if you have any questions in regards to today's session or just in general about the unit, you could email the learner work at ukvarsity.co.uk. Okay, so you need to be emailing learner work at ukvarsity.co.uk in regards to any questions around this unit, or if in general, if you've got anything to ask. So this is the learning outcome one. The next learning outcome is tomorrow's session, which is learning outcome two, which will be looking at elements of learning outcome two in regards to understanding elements of the organ state and homeostasis. And you'll be looking at also the week after is the assignment discussion session. And because we've only got two learning outcomes, these are recorded and will be put on Moodle for you. Okay, so do you have any questions before we finish this session off, Faustina?
Oh, please.
No. So I will see you in tomorrow's session, which is learning outcome 2, and I will see you at 5 o'clock. Is that okay?
Okay.
Is that okay, Faustina?
Yes, is it okay for you?
Yeah, it's okay for me. It's all right for you. If it's for you, it's all right for me. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you. I will see
can
you.
you make it 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock might be a little bit late because it's been all
Okay,
booked in
let's make
now.
it 5.
Okay, then I will see you at 5 o'clock. Okay, Faustina. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank
bye.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.